going to have to paste the YouTube link into the group,
Hello,
right?
my name's Steve Woody, and I'm coming to you live now. We're part of the Facebook group. Yes, I have a website. If you're not a part of that, you can join now. And this is our first live. So we're going to do a Facebook Live. I'm using OBS as a streaming technology through Google Hangouts into Facebook Live as a group, so anything could happen. If you can't hear me on Facebook, I'm sorry, jump across the links there to get into the Hangout. Come into the Hangout and join us here. We're going to be live for about 20 to 30 minutes now, and I'm going to jump straight into this and introduce Val, who is from Sucuri. So if you have a website and you've ever dealt with either being hacked or any viruses or any malware or anything online that's caused you then chances are you've either heard or secure. And so what I wanted to do was just get Val on to talk a little bit about his experiences with the company, obviously with being hacked himself, and to share some tips and some things. We're going to have a bit of a conversation, and then we're going to open up the Facebook group for a Q&A. So if you're not in the Facebook group yet, it is Yes, I Have a Website. It's the Facebook group there. You can go and join that. And yeah, we shall see how this goes. So all good fun. Val, how you doing, sir?
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Romania, where it is now 9 p.m. and I've just put my, birds to sleep, so to say. We have dragons here, actual dragons. So
nice.
There's no vampires, though. There's no vampires. That's just in the myth and in the tourist traps. So
is Khaleesi there with you?
No, not currently. She's out shopping.
I understand. Well, yeah, it's nice to have you on, mate. Thank you so much for your time. Do really appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having me.
What I'd love to jump into really straight away and just ask you is, what's life like at Sucuri? Is it hectic? Is it busy?
It's very safe.
Do you feel kind of protected by the people around you?
Well, I do feel like for someone coming out of a background where I do marketing, so that's my core job thing that I do. But you never really think about security unless you kind of get into a situation where you actually get hacked or have some sort of intrusion being done either to your station, to your server. And for someone that comes from an environment where, hey, let's share, let's love the people, put the content out there on Twitter, Facebook, anything, to go into in an environment where you have to be aware that what if you've already been hacked? So that's the state of mind that we have. If you're already hacked right now, what is the worst things they can find out? What are the deepest access levels that they can get to with the access you have? So that's, not being freaky or anything like that, but it's very, very important not to take security lightly. Anything you do in the world, if you just go like, oh, let's do this, what if I start cooking? What if I start fishing? What if I don't know. But when you talk about security, that's not something to be like, a hobby or just something to pass by time. Should be handled by professionals in a professional manner.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there when you said that a lot of people don't really consider security aspects until it's too late or unless they've experienced it before. True. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's really important that we discuss this tonight, is so that people do have that understanding of just some of the things that can happen and what can go wrong on your website specifically or in your online business if you're not protected. Protection things. So you actually got got hacked a while back, didn't you? Connection's a bit laggy, so if it is, I'm really, really sorry. If there's a laggy connection, I'm going to do my best to record this and I'll upload it afterwards if I can, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to play about with it and can't help the text, sorry. Maybe we're being hacked. But Val, how was it for you, mate, when you got hacked? What happened?
Well, let me put it this way. First of all, like I said, you never think about being hacked. You just get hacked. Like there's no back thought in your mind all the time, thinking of, oh, what if I'm getting attacked? What if something happens? We're talking about 1% of the online users ever thinking about this proactively, right? Everyone starts to freak out when they actually get hacked or compromised, and then what do we do? There's no emergency plan, there's no structure, there's no structured thinking, or no, there's not let's say a standardized approach to this in the companies, either if you deal with a corporation or a small business, or even yourself as a freelancer. uh, Ask yourself right now, if you're watching this, do I have a plan in case I get hacked? Is there something that I can go to, or is there a service that I can use? Is there something out there that I can rely on not to be hacked in the event that I get attacked? So I was having, with my wife, we have this project called the Shoebox Project, where it's a pretty well-known concept. Around Christmas, we prepare shoeboxes filled with gifts for children that are from poor families or orphanages and stuff like that, and we just go around and share them before Christmas. And today is going to be our 10th year. This year is going to be our 10th year since we're doing it, and we are already in 17 countries. But in 2014, I think it was around 16th or 17th of December, 4 a.m. in the morning, I was getting ready to send out some newsletters, and I just see this, whatever, Arabic song on my homepage with a big, FU sign in the middle of the page saying, I got you, your site has been hacked. Of course, you freak out. There's nothing to prepare you for that. People come to you, they already know you as again, I'm talking about the charity side here, but it doesn't matter. It applies to any online presence, right? If you have a business, even worse, like you're losing money because people cannot buy from you. There's nothing going on. There's no activity, and the loss of trust that people get from, hey, I'm gonna get out of here. Like, wow, they're gonna click that X in a second. They don't want to be hacked themselves. People don't think that if coming to your website and they see a big "this site has been hacked" sign, they don't think that they can get away with it. So people are smart in a way, right? So if you see a site that has been hacked, first thing you have to do is go out. Like, don't stay there. What if you get infected as well? So that happened to us. I tried to fix it myself. That's something that it's in my recommendation. I will talk about this later. Many times we think that we can do it ourselves. Hey, I know, how hard can it be, right? I mean, you don't have to be a security expert to clean a WordPress site or a Joomla site or a Drupal site. There's just, I just need to see some files, maybe look in the FTP, see if there's any extra users, and I'm done. I thought I was done. I thought I cleaned it. 2 days after that, I got hacked again. So we're talking about, exactly, reinfection, most likely a backdoor somewhere that I missed. Of course I missed, because I wasn't a security expert. Hello. So I'm talking about 24th of December. That's the day before Christmas. My site has a big, huge freaking sign saying, you're being, whatever. I don't know what was the description or the translation of that, but something in Arabic that people were telling me that you got hacked. So I just looked online, how can I clean my website? I found Sucuri, thank God. For me, it was just like a revelation. It was 4 a.m. in Romania, and actually someone was there on live chat and was talking to me in terms that weren't salesy, they weren't spammy, they weren't trying to sell me anything. They even went through and did an initial evaluation of the issues that I had in the live chat. Like, did you do this? What are you seeing right now on the website? When did you notice something changed? Can you even log in on FTP right now? If you go on your cPanel, what can you, stuff like that. And then it just convinced me in the conversation that I have to buy the service right now because I know they can do it. And they did it. Like 4 hours after that, the site was back online, was also taken off the blacklist of Google next day, because of the special relationship between Sucuri and Google. And then, I never got hacked again. But it was only months after that that I was hired. It's just a huge story, and sometimes maybe we'll go over it. But the fortunate fact is I'm now an employee. I work from home from Romania. Company has people in 26 countries. It's just been an awesome journey, and now I am more security aware after being hacked. of course, especially because I'm in a security company, but not necessarily. But it's always after you get hacked, after something bad happens to you, then you start learning. If you get attacked on the street, there's bigger chances you're going to start doing whatever, jiu-jitsu lessons or, karate or something like that, because you are now trying to be aware and prepared in case something else happens. So it's the same in security.
Well, I think this is really important as well, because what you've just mentioned here is something that a lot of people don't understand or don't realize is you could be hacked and not even know that you've been hacked.
That is the
I mean,
worst
when
part.
you look at websites like MX Toolbox, for example, and I don't know if you've got any recommendations or anything that you use personally, it'd be good to find out about that. But you can actually go on and you can see, because most people that are being hacked don't even realize it. It could be something like a mail, like from your mail server, that you're sending out spam emails and you're not even aware that you're doing it. You could be on a blacklist on Spamhaus on their database or anything like that. There's a lot of different databases now where you've got blacklists. And I mean, I've had it with clients before where they don't even know they've been hacked. They don't even realize, and they're on all these blacklists and they're blissfully unaware. Their website works. There's no upfront, like where you were hacked, you had the obviously the notification when your site got taken over, but some people don't even get that, and they have sort of these malicious codes in the background. So
that's because only some hackers actually show you that they hacked you, and these are usually the script kiddies or the ones trying to boast over your site, like, hey man, I got you down, blah blah blah. But the real hackers most likely will never show you that you've been hacked. Your machine will gonna get is going to get over into their control, and there's multiple reasons why they would do that. I just shared in the chat a link of how to actually know if your site is hacked or not. It's a very good article written by our CEO Tony Perez. And just imagine this: maybe you have a server in an excellent data center in the States on a very, very clean IP list. And IP range, and nobody ever sent any spam from that data center, which is okay. Let's see, this is like kind of not going to happen, especially now with the IP4 getting extinct. But if you have a server in a very clean environment, a hacker will not necessarily try to put your site down, but he will gain access to your machine and send email through your server, just because your IP are likely to inbox in the target email addresses than others who are maybe hacked already. So if you have a clean server and you have a clean IP range, the spammers will most likely want that box, because they know that at least for some hours, maybe days, until they actually get detected, they can use your machine, they can use your entire bandwidth to send out spam emails and you not even know it.
I think that's the really scary thing about it. So yeah. I've just posted in the Facebook group, I've just posted that link. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I think one of the things that I find interesting is we talk about hacks where we're talking about injections and about people that are taking over sites and things like that. What I find really interesting, and just want to touch on this briefly and get your opinion on this. We all know WordPress. Majority of small business owners, entrepreneurs are using WordPress more than any other platform now. And I often see people saying WordPress isn't secure. And now I've got my opinions and my comments on that, but I'm really curious to get yours on what you think about when people say WordPress isn't secure. Well, and what advice could you give to anyone who is using WordPress as a website, as a CMS?
It can be farther from the truth to actually say any platform is less secure, right? What does it mean is more prone to attacks? Yeah, because it's like it governs the world, right? Like the most numbers of websites anywhere right now online on a CMS are on WordPress. So of course you're gonna get
18 million, I think, is a count
well,
at the moment.
who's counting, right? Maybe only Matt Mullenweg is counting, but I'm just saying, like, of course, if the number of sites on the CMS is the largest in the world, of course they're gonna get much more attacks. They're going to try to actually put your websites down. I mean, people using WordPress don't really practice safe administration of WordPress. That is the problem. It's not necessarily the CMS in itself. 27% of all active websites in the world actually are based on WordPress. So what is that telling us? That 27% of the websites out there are unsafe? No. It just tells us that there's an extremely large responsibility for the website owners to learn about security and to learn about their CMS specific security, like what are the most likely attacks that can happen, what are the plugins that you're using, what are the themes that you're using. When did you last time set up a backup system or steps for your website? When did you actually check that your backups are even running? Like, let's say you get hacked today, right? You do have a backup. Most of you maybe are. For the ones that don't, I strongly encourage you to do a web app. Sorry. But what if you do get hacked? Do you have a
Well, here's the
backup that
thing
you
as
can
well.
actually
Yeah.
restore? Did you
What if you get hacked
test?
in the server?
Well, there you go. Well, then the situation, of course, right? I mean, our recommendation is always do a backup offsite, like not even think about putting it on the same, public HTML folder, or not even on the same server. Because if the server itself gets hacked, like you said, and a good hacker will most likely delete all the backups, right? So he will hold you to it that you're gonna go back to him to pay him a ransom or anything like that. And what we need to understand is the implications of an attack are directly proportionate with what sort of data they can gain access to on your website. If you are an online store and you sell things online, of course you're going to get much more attacks, because they will think, okay, so he must have some sort of credit card details, personal details, billing, something that they can actually steal, right? But not always it's about stealing. Sometimes it's just about gaining access, just about showing you that they can do it. And either way, whatever the motivations they have, whatever the reasons they're doing it for, you still feel like attacked, because you are being attacked. Your website is disrupted, your business is stopping or has issues, and of course you're losing money either way.
So I think if you were to take a business owner, they've got their website at the moment. And I'm not going to say WordPress because we know WordPress, but this could be on any site. Traditionally, you've got your FTP files, right? You've got your server files, the files where the website, like the functionality, the look and the feel of the website.
Physical
and then,
files.
Yeah, the physical files. And then you also, not in every case, but in a lot of cases nowadays, especially with CMSs like WordPress, you've got your database as well. Where would you say, if you were to look at the database and the FTP files, are people more prone or more likely to be attacked? Because that's a question I hear quite often, where people are like, oh, my database has been infected, but FTP files are okay. Or because their database has been infected, then their FTP files have been. So in Sucuri, do you have a practice or a good standing? Maybe there's a link that you can share, and we can give people sort of things that they can do to protect themselves.
I can certainly do that. I mean, I'll be sending you a lot of links, very useful links, because from things you're asking, I know that we have content that responds to these questions, so that will be very good for people to actually sit down and look through and read, and give them much more time than we can actually have in a chat to do it. But I would say there's two ways, right? They could. So, okay, essentially what you have is, let's say, go with a CMS. Again, we use WordPress, just an example, because everybody relates to it, like they know what sort of files are in there. You download a zip file from WordPress.org. Okay, let's go through a journey of having a website installed on WordPress. You unzip that archive, you upload the files on your server, you install it, you connect it to an existing or a fresh created database, and then your website is online. The famous WordPress, go live in 5 minutes, right? That's, everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. Now, you got your WordPress core files. So the initial files that are needed for WordPress as a CMS to actually run on the server, and you have a database. Now, if anything is going to be infected or attacked, they would go either way. But most likely you'll find indicators of compromise in your database, because they will understand and they will predict that what if you're actually checking, which you would be smart to do, for the integrity of your core files. So if you have a service like ours, for example, that checks to make sure that the files you use on your WordPress site are the exact same files, unaltered, that you've downloaded from the WordPress repository, right? So if that's being checked daily, hourly, or whatever, you'll realize if something actually happened, if something changed anywhere in a file, if the permissions on a file changed, who changed that. So all these indicators of compromise, of possible compromise, again, maybe you purposely changed something because your developer wanted to add, I don't know, some sort of analytics to an existing core file or something like that. And if you know that, then it's fine to whitelist that file and not even think about it maybe for weeks, for months, whatever, until you change it again. But if you know that you haven't touched your core files and you get notifications from your scanner saying, hey, 2 days ago, X and Y Z file was changed by this user, and then of course you should look at it as an indicator of compromise, because you only have your own user on the site, and some other name changed some file in the core and you didn't know about. So most likely, if it's not your host helping in any way, maybe you have some sort of managed plan, or maybe you're a developer, and if you know for sure that nobody that gained access and modified anything, then most likely that will be an indicator of compromise.
Nice. And
but
I know
they
that
will be
there's
holding a lot of content in the database. That is true. Most likely there will not be something physical on your website that you can actually find in your FTP folder.
And I think this is important, and I'm going to share the link for this as well, because I know that you guys have got your own plugin that you have for WordPress. I know there's some other great ones as well. I know iThemes is really good. I know that there's a lot of, well, they used to be really good. I don't know if they are anymore.
There's a lot of solutions, and people can use any, but then again, make sure you have some sort of protection in place.
Well, this is the thing, because most people go, oh, I need to get a security plugin on my website. But my argument has always been, if you're waiting until they're at your files, and if you need a plugin, then they're already in. It's too late.
Okay, this is a very good topic that you just touched. We need to be thinking application layer, defense in depth. They will not directly going to be reveal to yourself like, hey, I'm just being hacked, just out of the blue. There will be steps that the attackers will take. They will scan your site. They will try to find a way in. They attempt all these different things where you cannot just be protected by one plugin. If you think that I'm installing this solution, whatever that solution is, there's no 100% protection out there, which we need to realize, people. There's no such thing as 100% guarantee that if you use solution X, you'll be 100% protected. No, it takes education, it takes a lot of research, it takes preparation, and for my experience, it takes professionals to do it. Whatever you try to do in-house, it's good. Like, if you have a list of, like I'm going to give you later, personal recommendations on security, that's very good. But then again, when you actually go deep, you will have to use professionals, people that do this every day. And there's no such thing as security equals a service or a specific plugin. It's an entire preparation and educational mode that we have to be thinking. Like I said initially, what if I'm already hacked? What is the amount of information they can find out about me? What is the degree of, bad that it can actually do to me?
Well, and this I find really interesting, because I don't actually have any security plugins on my website now, because I can't. I'm using WP Engine as my server, and as a result, they don't allow me, because they handle everything at a server level. And interestingly as well, I know they have an agreement with you guys that if anyone gets hacked on that server, you go in and clean it. I mean, as a business owner, just from my own perspective, and also having clients who I host as well on WP Engine, I can't tell you the peace of mind it gives me to just not have. Like, I used to run my own server. I used to spend my life in in cPanel and in WMS, and I used to spend all day performance, security, bug fixing, performance, security, bug fixing, all day, constantly going over and over the same things. So to not have to do that anymore, and to just leave it, and to think, do you know what? If I get hacked, I get hacked. I've got a backup and security on my side.
That is a very good conversation to have with your host. So you mentioned WP Engine. They don't actually handle the firewall. That's what we do, but we do clean the sites if something happens, to the customers they have. And to have a firewall, I would say even if I weren't with a security company, even if I hasn't been working for security, I would still say that that's a great add-on to any website to have the protection from the edge. Like before your visitors, good or bad visitors, because you never know what you get, even before they actually hit your website, they go through the firewall. And at the firewall level, you have the place where all the requests are being filtered, analyzed, and properly redirected. Like if we have in the database of signatures, if we know specifically that that request will be a malicious request, we're going to reject it off the firewall limit. So that guy or service or bot or whatever it is, it will never going to even go to your website at all. So that will of course increase your performance, right? Because your server is not going to need to handle all this huge amount of good and bad traffic, but only the good traffic.
Well, and again, I think this is another thing when we talk about firewalls and things like this, and you look at the CDNs, and I know there's Cloudflare, and I know there's lots of other options out there and things you can do to add a sort of an additional layer. What do you recommend people do in terms of firewalls, CDNs? How do you recommend people they become aware of what is required? Because like most business owners and most people website, they have a host, and the reality is most people don't have a clue what the host is doing, like GoDaddy, HostGator, whoever they may be with Bluehost. They just, oh, that's my host. And the reason most people are with that host is because they were recommended through
By a friend.
somebody else. And it's not actually what's best for them. It's just what they've been recommended to, or it's cheap.
It's the best that they could find out about.
Exactly. So what do you recommend for someone who's
So
looking for a host
I would
and
go
needs good security?
in two directions, right? Number one, always start by discussing with your possible host. Okay, in an event of compromise, in an event of me being attacked, either way, malware or DDoS or anything like that, what are the things that the host will do for me? If the host simply suspends your website and sends you an email saying, "Hey, you've been getting a lot of DDoS and you're compromising our network," then that's not the host you want to go with. If the host says, in an event of compromise, we can do this. We have this security partner that we can send you to. We have these steps in place. We have these solutions already established. And then you can even realize this, how serious and how experienced the host is if they actually have answers for these, type of questions. Number two that I would say is always employ a firewall. And if possible, a cloud-based firewall. So don't look for something that sits on your WordPress like a security plugin to protect you. A security plugin can check for files, can check for integrities, can check for any indicators of compromise, but it will not be able to stop something like a DDoS attack or a spamware attack, right? Because it's already at the application layer. As long as you have a protection around the actual edge of the server, then that's the best solution I would recommend. Whoever provider you're taking it from, make sure you don't protect it only in the server level.
Good to know. Good to know. Great advice. Thank you. I want to touch on, because I'm conscious of time, and I know we've been on almost half an hour now. And thank you as well for this. I'm really, really grateful. Guys, has this been good for you? You enjoying it so far? I know I'm sort of monitoring the Facebook group. I know there's some people on there, some people on YouTube, some people on Google Hangouts. I'm sorry, this being the first one, and I was really hoping we could have hooked up all these different technologies with OBS and live stream, and the thing is it lagged. It was really bad, so we've just cut everything out, and
next time we can do we can use the chats in the YouTube channel, then it's easier.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think that might be a better way to do it. And do you know what the reality is? The reason that I didn't want to use that is because I didn't want to do it through my channel, because I didn't want to be seen as branding myself. I kind of tried to do it anonymously through Facebook.
Hey, we are breaking ground here, right? This is, we're just getting out.
So yeah, anyway, the whole idea behind this, and the reason I wanted to do it, is great to obviously test it and to make sure it worked, but the value here is just immense for people. So one last thing I really want to just quickly touch on, just briefly, before we move into obviously your 5 shares, was I think there's another layer that people don't realize. And we talk about being hacked and externally protecting ourselves from people, but what about internally? Because something that I know happens a lot is somebody will have a website problem. And let's just use WordPress as an example, because obviously a lot of people are on it, and this is one we can use. I see, and it happens to me and to other people a lot, if someone has a problem with their website, they will give their login details, normally their admin login details, to somebody who they don't know, who's promised that they can go in and fix their site. And I've seen people give their admin login details across on Facebook. I've seen them do it through plugins, which is a little bit more reputable, to be fair, because there's a plugin there. But I've seen people give away the details to their website, the administrative details, to people who they don't know. And that gives them access to, if they're using WooCommerce, it gives them access to their customer lists, to their order numbers, to all of their users' email addresses. I mean, is that not a breach of security in itself? And if it
Well,
is, what would you do about it?
I'm going to give you a great a quote from our co-founder, Dre Armeda, whom I say hi to because he's watching right now. He usually says this: treat your credentials like a toothbrush. If someone else uses it, change it when they are done accessing. Throw it away. Like, okay, does that person, be it a developer, be it a security expert, even when we request passwords and access from customers, we do it only in our ticketing, secured area. We never exchange that through emails or chat, or never on social media. Oh, and stay away from sending credentials on social media. And after we are done cleaning the website, we specifically send an email to the customer saying, make sure you change your password. Well, does it happen that a year after, people coming back and they send us the credentials for the website, and most likely they're going to be the same? Yes, it happens. That is something that we as security experts or specialists, and even you, any website owner, can tell to your friends, to your bosses, your managers, whatever. Make sure that anything in the realm of passwords is intensely protected. Don't, my strong recommendation personally is never to use passwords like, that you can make on the fly, I love you, Mary, and, God is my father, whatever, because these are so easily to be hacked and, guessed. Make sure you use a protection, make sure you use a password generator and a manager for that, and make sure they are, long enough, like, more than 10 characters, if possible even more. But then again, do you need to share your credentials with someone directly when you can share it via something like LastPass? LastPass has a feature where you can share credentials to any website without actually revealing the credentials. So they can only access the website administration area or whatever, like members area that they need to, using LastPass. And when you're done with it, you can just remove access, and that's it.
That's a great one. It's
Only
LastPass, I think, is
allow
a great
people
one.
to get in and have access to whatever secured area of your online business or online site if they need it, and for the duration they need it for, and then remove it.
And I think and I did a Facebook Live on this a while ago, because I think there's a few plugins, especially in WordPress, you can use. There's user role editor, user menu editor, where you can actually start to limit what people see. And almost like, and I'm a bit annoyed that WordPress hasn't done this in core yet. And it's something that I'm actually going to put this in a Slack channel now, because there should be a super admin login when you create your 5-minute install. And then there should be an admin account underneath that, in my opinion.
The whole thing with going online in 5 minutes is that security settings alone would need hours. Okay, so let's be aware of this. If you go online in 5 minutes, there's no chance in hell you're already secured by default. It's impossible. Just to just to think of server issues, platform issues, PHP version, all these different things, MySQL version, there are and reside on a server to actually empower the CMS to run. In our case, because you gave the example, I would say again WordPress, but it can be any CMS. Just by default, there's no security. There's no such thing as security by default. Security has to be set up, finely tuned. There's no, most of the people, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you buy a firewall, you install it on your website, and then you like, okay, now I'm secured. No, you're not. If the firewall is installed but not set up properly for your specific website and needs, you're not being protected at all. it can run in parallel to your own, entire online business and still not be protected if it's not tied correctly to the needs and the specifics of your application. And then again, if we think about the possible random Joe attacking you, most likely these will be the attacks that your website will see, random attacks, because they know, let's say, a big risk for CMSs specifically is being out of date. Like if there's a security patch available and if there's another version that specifically fixes an existing bug or an existing vulnerability on WordPress, again, because we talk about WordPress, and you do not upgrade to that version, you essentially put yourself in harm's way intentionally, or not intentionally, but anyways, knowingly. Because if you log into your WP admin and you see up there, whatever X version is available, update now, and you consciously make a decision not to update, I don't know what to say. Like, why would you do that?
But I think the reason that some people don't do it is because they're scared, because there's a whole fear now of updating and things breaking, and not everybody has a
that's why
one-click
there's
restore.
responsible ways of updating in WordPress.
VaultPress, there's ServerPress, there's Updraft. There's so many of these good services out there, I think, that
Yes,
people
but
aren't aware of.
even if you don't use the services, just go do two things, right? Number one, download all your physical servers to your computer. Number one. Number two, do a backup of your database, and then you can safely go on and upgrade your WordPress. If something breaks, you have both things backed up.
And how many people do that every time?
Well, I don't know, but that's why we are here to educate, right? And I think
Absolutely.
it's our responsibility not to tell people that it's easy to go online, that it's easy to stay online, and that's, security is simple, because it's not. And as years progress and as we go on with, this entire online story, meaning, more and more people will get online and have websites and businesses online, the security aspect will be more and more important.
And I
Because,
think, sorry, please.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think this is a really important lesson for people, is that I know, and I hear this so often when people say, oh, but I've never been hacked, or, oh, but it doesn't matter for me. And the reality, and I don't mean to sound harsh here, the reality is that these people just don't have enough traffic. They're just not successful enough online to have been noticed yet. Because if you're getting noticed for the right reasons, you're also going to get noticed for the wrong reasons. And being hacked isn't a case of if I get hacked, it's a case of when. Because when anyone gets big enough, and if all the big companies like Sony and Google and all the huge players have been hacked themselves, it goes to show you that no one's safe. Look at DMYS, what happened recently.
Well, let me tell you something. Being hacked is not about how much traffic you have, is if and when the hacker will find your machine, your server, your website, your application. In our tests, I'm going to send you a link to one of our blog posts that our CTO did, Daniel Seed, where he talks about how fast the attackers found a honeypot server that he installed online that we never published anywhere. It's existing. Like nobody would, normally find out about it. The hackers found out in minutes. And they tried, so that the password was like no password, like just a default thing, just to see how quickly they get in. And they found out about it.
Was it on Endurance International?
I'm not at liberty to say right now, but I will send you the link to the actual article, and we have information in there that are public and people can learn about. But it's not about, like you said, it's not about if, it's just about when. And the when extent gets smaller and smaller and smaller. They find you quicker and quicker, because now you have CMSs that talk to each other. We have this thing called pingbacks and XML RPC and all these things that they communicate with other platforms, and it's going to take less and less time for somebody to find out that you have a website, and even less time to try to break it.
Amazing. So I'm very conscious we've sort of doubled the time we were going to spend tonight, but Val, I am so grateful, my friend. I mean, I'm hoping everyone, I mean, there's people talking now, and there's some, and this is being recorded as well, so that it'll be up for the replay for people to watch. You did mention, I know you said you had some slides and you're going to make them available afterwards, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you so you can post it to everyone.
I will do. And are these the 5 things? Because you said you were going to share, and I'm really keen. Just before we go, you said you had
Uh,
5 tips that you were going to share with
I'll
people.
just go. I'll name five words, and if there's no time, I can just give you the
That's fine.
slides, and people can actually read them through. So
That's
I
fine.
would say that my personal 5 best practices for website security are: number one, and I think this is the paramount of all, learn, which means start reading about website security in an active way. Employ a web application firewall. Do the things that we call access control. Like, do people really need admin or root level access to your server or site to upload a photo? Does the customer really need WP admin administrative rights to change a post? You know, things like that. Why would you go with the top level access that is possible when you can go with the least? And that's my recommendation. Learn how, you know, platform vulnerabilities work. If you hear about someone publishing, like we publish at blog.sucuri.net all the time about vulnerabilities, issues that we see with websites and platforms. If you hear about a platform being hacked or having a specific vulnerability and you employ that platform, well, you better log into your platform and see what version you're using and what version does that article relate to. And then if it's yours, you better fix it. It's your responsibility to learn. Nobody will come. The host will most likely not come to you saying, oh, my dear customer, I see you have a very low version of WordPress, and can we please upgrade it? They will never come. Most hosts will never do that. Number two, we talked about this, passwords. Always use, my recommendation is always use a password manager. Use complex, if you don't, I don't know why would you, but let's say if you don't use a password manager, then make sure your passwords use complex structures. You know, go with uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers. Like I said, don't do I love you mama, don't do the I love you 1 2 3 4 5 7 8 9 0. It doesn't help. That's going to be so easy to find out. And don't reuse passwords. This is like, you know, the biggest thing in passwords after using a password manager is don't reuse passwords. If you have a password for your email account, don't have the same password for your Facebook account. Don't have the same password for your FTP. Even if it's easier for you mentally to remember them, don't do it.
Can I jump in with
Sure.
something someone once told me, which I think is fantastic. If you have a password that you love to use, and I'm guilty of this, I have one password and I like to use it for everything except that one application that needs the capital letter with the number, with the symbol, with the so apart from the ones that just don't let you do it, what you could consider is, and this is what I find, have one password, and let's just say it is password for the example here. And
Mm-hmm.
let's say you're on Facebook, you take the first 2 letters of that platform, so FA, password. Twitter would be TW, password. YouTube would be YO, password. It's still not ideal in terms of having a secure individual password, but it is much better than just having the same password.
Well,
For those who are
I would say
so
you just gave free advice now to hackers to update their dictionary attacks.
as
So
long as they're not watching this, we're all right. But of course,
if you want to do something that is, you know, easier, and if people have, I know people have like one thing that they think that nobody thinks about, and that's their password, then you can do this. You can employ 2 password managers. One to just access your main password, and then that password actually is the password to the other one where you have all your credentials. You could do
so
that.
like a password within a password, it's almost
Like
like
a password
Inception.
within a password, right? Like a backup to a backup, right? Because you can't be paranoid enough when you talk security. That's, you know, that's the way I see it.
So
Okay,
okay, we've got learn and we've got
I'm
you
gonna
like use strong passwords. What's the next one?
number 3, updates, right? Or if it's your CMS, be it your plugins or extensions, if you use Joomla or whatever, even if it's your server, always make sure your updates are updated. That's, you know, easy. Like, make sure you have the latest version. They would not go through the hardship of releasing anything that it's an update to something that exists if that update hadn't been better. If it's, you know, if it's not fixing anything, if it's not helping with anything, they would never update it, right? So make sure everything you have, everything you employ is to the latest version. unless very specific issues occur where your developer says don't update because I got you covered in another way. But then again, these are exceptions that we not talk about here. Number 4, backups. We talked about this today. I'm just repeating this. Make them on a schedule. Like, make sure you have every 1 day, every 2 days, every 3 days, whatever the case may be. Make sure the backups are off-site. They're not touching anywhere around your website or your server. If possible, do it anywhere outside. Do it in the cloud, do it in Google Drive, do it on an Amazon bucket, do it in whatever backup plugin you're using. Just make sure you don't save anything in your own server or site. And then, of course, test the backups. That's very, few people ever think about this. What if your backup doesn't work? When was the last time you did a regression test using your latest saved backup just to see if your website actually is going to look the same as before? If you never did it, you better talk to your team or whoever's doing your website to try and do that. That's something to set up, off the bat. Because if something happens and your backup breaks, your website will no longer exist. That's what you have to realize. If you have a website and it's gone because of whatever attack happened, you still have the mentality, or you still have that back thought saying, oh, it's okay, I have a backup. And if that backup doesn't work, then you have nothing. So I think that's even worse than having a bad password, if you ask me. And then number 5 is, I talked about this today also, use professionals. Security is not a do-it-yourself project. It should never be a do-it-yourself project. Admit when you are overwhelmed. If you try to fix stuff on your own, if you have a certain amount of ego and you think you have some expertise and you try and try and try and you can't make it, just admit, hey man, I'm overwhelmed. I need to reach out to someone that does this for a business, for a life. And then, of course, let's not forget, when you use professionals, you don't have to have that extra cost and time to do it in-house. If you have somebody that does your social media for your website, and then you say like, oh, maybe you can take 1 hour of your day and do some sort of security, well, that is the security level you're going to have. A guy or a girl that has some sort of knowledge about security using 1 hour a day to protect your website. Do you think that's the best your company or your business can do? What about the other 23 hours of the day? What about the issues that can happen when you sleep? Why not employ a professional solution that scans, protects, and cleans your website, 24/7? You can go on vacation and be, relaxed about the fact that your website is being protected, is being backed up, your passwords are fine, all these things are set in motion, and you can have a relaxed 2-3 weeks, 1 month vacation, right?
Perfect. Makes total sense. Makes total
Yep.
sense. In fact, I've just seen a comment in the Facebook group, which I think is brilliant. It's from Ivica. He says, security is a lifetime ongoing job, like being a parent.
Yeah, that is true. That's very well said.
Well, it is for a lot of people, because their business is like their baby. And if people aren't protecting their business and they're not doing the things that, just because it hasn't happened to them doesn't mean it won't. And so, like, if you've got a business, if your income, if your sole source of financial security comes from your business, and that involves your website, and you're not taking these measures, then that's just crazy to me. It's crazy.
It's like going into a country where there's an ongoing virus attack and you take no shots just because you say, I'm better than this. And you will get sick, I'm telling you. You will get sick just because you don't protect yourself. It's easy as that. If you look at it at security, you can look at medical wise. Like I've always said, if you don't, people go with, I don't feel sick, so I'm not going to go to the doctor, right? And then when you're too sick to actually do something about it and you go to the doctor, finally, he will just say, well, you got like 3 months to live. Why? Because you've never looked at the indicators of compromise, in our case, health, right? You're coughing, you're having issues, you have pains, you have all these things, and you're like, it's going to pass. Yeah, it is going to pass with you, like you're going to die because you didn't take care of your health. It's the same thing on security. It's the same thing on anything that has to do with, prepare yourself. Make sure you're ready. We're not going to send our kids to college before they graduate, kindergarten, because they can't write, they can't read. They need to have the basic preparation to go into life, because Ivica, or what the name was, mentioned being a parent. I am a parent of 2. I know exactly how it is, and I'm sure everyone out there who has kids know that you do not give your children something that they cannot handle. Same things, website security. Why put that weight on your whatever content manager, boss, CEO, even IT department? Having an IT department in your company does not mean you have a security department. Let's be clear about that. The fact that they install your servers and your computers and they can run updates on your Windows machines and all that, Mac, that doesn't mean that they have security level preparation. Doesn't mean they can tell you how to protect your machine, your servers, your website. So like I said, last thing, use professionals. Go to the people. I'm not saying go to security. I'm saying go to professionals. Go to those that do security for a living, because there are slightly more chances that they know what you're doing about if you compare that to someone that just does it, like I said, an hour a day or just a few minutes in an hour.
Perfect. Val, I mean, this has been fantastic. A lot of this I already know, but even though I already know it, to
Hey, we
hear
should
it
do it on a
again,
recurring basis, man. I already, I'm just getting warm here.
I know, right? I can see you're like, I'm getting going now. We should. I think we can plan something in. I would love to do this with you again. This was the first run tonight. Obviously the
Thank you
new
so
group
much.
has been set up, but I feel like we can definitely use this. I'm actually in the new year going to be doing a like as part of through my company, I'm going to be doing interview the masters. So I want to
Hmm.
talk to the people at the top of their industry and Sucuri. That the reality is, you guys are at the top of your industry. Like everybody who I know who knows
Thank you.
website security knows of you guys, and I respect you, and that's why I'm so honored that you've come on tonight and spoken to us.
Sure. It's always a
Thank you
pleasure.
for your
If
time. I'm
there's an
so,
opportunity for us to talk about website security, trust me, we'll always jump on it. Anyone from our team.
of course, and I know that you don't want anything in return, but I am going to post the links to your site. I mean, so everyone can find out anyway.
You don't have to, but again, I'm always happy to talk about website security, and even more happy because I've been there. I've been hacked. I know how it feels like. I know how good it is, like I said, 4 a.m. in the morning to actually find someone that can fix your website, and then 1 hour later, it's like it never happened.
And I've, again, having been hacked,
Yeah.
experienced that. And you guys, I was doing a talk at a live event. I had two huge monitors. I logged into my website and I'd been hacked. I was about to do a talk on websites. It was the most embarrassing thing ever. I had to take a
That,
screenshot and put up a screenshot of my
that
old
was a
website.
timed attack.
It was a very, very timed attack, but it was, I couldn't do anything. I had to get on to you guys. You guys fixed it for me. It was amazing. And so at that
That's why
moment,
we're here for.
I become a lifetime customer of you at that moment, just purely on the basis that you do what I call it the bleeding neck syndrome. When someone comes to you and they're like, help, 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 there's nothing else I can do. And you come in and you patch it up, you fix it, and you just put people on their way. And
Yeah.
I honor you for being part of the industry and
Thank you,
helping
sir.
people.
Thank you, sir. That's very good. That's very polite things to say. That's very positive for us to hear.
It's amazing. Guys, if you've enjoyed this and if it's been valuable, please show Val some love. I'll tag him in the Facebook group. The Facebook
Thank you.
group is Yes, I Have a Website. Just Google, Facebook it. It should come up. Val, thank you, my friend. I really, really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Like I said, anytime you feel you want to do this again, or if people have any questions at all, they can post in the group. I'll try to make myself available and answer. Uh, we're getting ready to, maybe some of you are celebrating Christmas. I want to wish you all happy, holidays, whatever you're celebrating, and make sure, like a New Year's resolution, if possible, make sure website security is number one. I mean, we are in the group. Yes, I have a website. So number two would be, how am I securing it? What am I doing to make sure that my website stays clean, is accessible to people, and makes money for me? That's why we have a website, right? One, to get a
Absolutely.
message out, and two, to earn a living. Some sort of money or some sort of income we are all getting out of our websites. That's why we put them online. That's why we take so much care of them. That's why we grow them. That's why we look at things like SEO, traffic, make sure we have the right links back to them, such and such. And all that effort, if you don't add security to it, most likely is going to be in vain when you get hacked. It's not about if, again, it's about when. And
Absolutely.
the way you prepare for that moment when they try to hack you, that's how you're going to go on with your business online. Let me tell you something. Every Monday morning I go in my own dashboard. at my own website in Sucuri, and I'm looking, and I'm sure you've done this before. I'm looking at the logs. I'm just looking at blocked and the number, and I go like 700 people that wanted to hack me, but they couldn't. You know,
Oh, there's not, unless you've experienced. See, there's two things I think in a business owner's online career that stand out. One is a viral post. If something goes viral and you're looking at Google Analytics real time when it happens, that's exciting. There is something really exciting about seeing those numbers just ramp up and knowing that people are on your website. A second, which I think is really important, is a brute force attack. When you witness someone brute force attacking your server and you see those pings, those log entries, and you know you're protected and you can see you batting them away, that's a moment of pride right there. That's a moment of I'm safe, I'm secure, and you're waiting for them to get through the door. But if you've got the right, like you say, if you've got the professionals behind you doing this, which you guys do on a daily basis, and I know you guys check the logs, I know you guys do constant constant and never-ending improvement in your education, in your systems, hardware, software, which actually brings me to a good point, because you've just mentioned it, and Dill's actually asked there, you're going to make a WHM CS integration. I know you guys are constantly up in your game and doing the next thing, so it's exciting to see what you come up with next, I think.
Well, we have some, nice things in the pipeline, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you be surprised when they get out. But I did post a video right now in the Hangout chat with how an actual real-time DDoS attack happens and how we block it. So if you just look at those lines, sometimes we even go in slow-mo so people actually see the lines of attacks. You can post that to the group also. And just imagine that any one of those pings can be someone that successfully hacked your website. But having a solution like a firewall in place means that they come in, they knock, and nobody's opened the door. So, that's just as basic as that. Like, you leave from home and you want to make sure that nobody gets in while you're gone. Or you sleep at home in the night and you want to make sure nobody gets in through the window or through the basement door or whatever. That's what having a firewall on your website means. Nobody gets in unless you open the door.
Perfect. And I think that's a fantastic point for people to make, is that it's not just at the website level. There's, you've got your front door to your house as well as you've got the door to your bathroom, but you don't want them in your house with the bathroom door shut. You want to make sure they don't get
when
through
you're
the
having
gate.
shower.
You want to stop them at the gate before they get onto the land, before they get to the door. And so server level protection, website level protection, the 5 things. And just to recap finally one last time, the 5 things that we need to consider and the things we need to think about are: number 1, learn, make sure you educate yourself. Number 2, you need to make sure, I've just lost the list, I need to find it.
Number 2 is passwords.
That was it. Number 2 is passwords.
Updates.
3, updates.
Number 4,
backups.
And 5, use professionals.
About, my friend, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
I thank you for having me. Sure.
I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Take care. God bless.